Welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Valia Bhatnagar. Now I'm with you with the era of AFM. I hope you have been reviewing the courses yet, everyone. I hope you have already seen. Recently, I conducted a special 32-hour special classes were going on. So I conducted a session on the specific topic of AFM, and in that particular session I have taken over roughly, I believe, a good number of questions, or more than 50 questions are there in that particular session that I took. And it was a session on specific module A and module B. I kept that particular part thinking about that many of you had been working upon these two, especially the ones who were in the paid classes as well. So everybody, I hope you had been reviewing the video, and if you like the particular video, then please go ahead and click on the like button in that particular session. Along with this, please go ahead and check out the specific playlist of this entire AFM series where I've covered multiple chapters. So please make sure that you are utilizing this particular precious time towards your studies in the best way possible. Okay, everyone, now moving on, what are we going to do today? As you already know, we are done with module A completely, module B completely, module C completely. Now we are left with only one thing, that is module D. And module D has just started. We finished the first class with DT, that is direct tax. Then I'm moving on towards the second chapter, that is the second chapter of the module D, that is goods and service tax. Acha, what's the difference between direct tax and indirect tax? But direct tax is specifically a tax which is related to the area of whatever you earn, you pay tax on whatever your earnings are, right? The problem arises when we opt for goods and service tax. This is where I went to Domino's to have a pizza. So as soon as I went there to have a pizza, what has happened, everyone? They gave me the pizza, but they charged a certain amount. What was that certain amount that they asked me? They charged me a certain amount, say they charged me an amount of $6.99 for the pizza. The $6.99, the price of the pizza was maybe say 500, and the remaining 199 they connected in the name of GST. Now this GST is levied on Domino's, but it is being collected from me, isn't it? The price and the one who's buying it are two different people there, isn't it? It is that way. So when we are looking forward towards this scenario, this is not something which the organization should be looking forward to, isn't it? But then the point is, GST was introduced in 2017. First of this was an exceptional case which started on 1st of July 2017. Basically, what they did is first 3 months were for the transition period, and then they opted for the GST on 1st of July 2017. That's how this particular plan came into being. Now, when we talk about goods and service tax, it is basically a tax which is an indirect tax. Why do we call it an indirect tax? Levied and paid. Levied on Domino's, paid by Domino's, but collected from customer. Difference? When we talk about the area of direct tax, I earn my salary, I pay tax on the salary that I receive. So isn't this a case that we are looking forward towards an organization where it is levied on someone else, but the payment of it is recovered from someone else, isn't it? Done? Now let's move on and talk about the next point. Let's move on towards the questions. Acha, the questions are this. The first is the what is the probability of tax evasion considered lower in case of indirect taxes? See, indirect taxes, I earn money, obviously, then in that case it becomes a little difficult for the entire organization to work in a certain manner. है ना, मतलब what happens is the probability, if I buy something, then obviously it becomes very very difficult towards the entire payment of the amount, because selling of that particular thing is done in a certain way, है ना. For example, I sold a good, and that particular good is basically um, sold by someone, but they will definitely collect the particular amount from me itself, है ना. Indirect taxes are paid directly by the end customer. We don't pay that particular amount, we are paying it through someone, है ना. There's a difference. That means indirect taxes are collected by the government without any intermediary. No, government doesn't collect it. Who collects it, everyone? Indirect taxes involve multiple levels of collection, making evasion more difficult. Yeah, it has definitely made evasion more difficult, but what exactly helps them? Indirect taxes are only imposed on high individual incomes. No, no. This is basically a regressive tax. Why do we call it regressive tax, everyone? For example, if I levy 5% of GST on the medicines. Now that medicine is being bought by rich, by poor, and by middle class as well. For a poor, 10 rupees is a huge amount. For a middle class, it's okay amount. But for rich, it's the negligible amount. So all these people are paying 10. In this case, what's happening, everyone? The trouble isn't going away, isn't it? In this case, what's happening is indirect taxes involve multiple levels of taxation. Since they involve multiple levels of taxation, who's going to do that specific work of putting in effort? If one party disagrees in terms of making any kind of fraudulent work, then the entire chain would be exposed at whosoever were involved. So that is something that makes GST a little more troublesome in terms of the working, and it is collected by someone else, and is on the burden is on someone else. And remember, if the GST is not collected, yes, there are penalties on that. But if GST is imposed and you collect it, but you do not pay to the government, this is where the government can take away everything from that particular organization. There can be GST cancellation, they can be blacklisted, they can face even jail when they are doing all these gruesome and, I would say, very serious or grave offenses, which are sometimes leading to the fact that they can turn into non-bailable offenses as well. That's the particular part of these kind of scenarios. Acha, now let's talk about the particular next question. Okay, the next question is related to the area of what significant change in the taxation system occurred on July 1, 2007. Introduction of income tax. No, income tax was introduced in 1961, everyone. Then implementation of GST, then abolishment of all forms of taxes, or we can say increase in the corporate taxes. Matlab, I would say this was these 2 financial years were really hard on India. The previous financial year, when on 8th of November India had shared the news of demonetization, that was the wrong point. And then while the particular economy was dwindling, there was an introduction of GST as well. These were at that point of time really big decisions, and these decisions definitely had an impact on the stability of the government. But I would say over the period of time, we have actually accepted these things, and the changes have brought somewhat adaptability towards the entire country further as well. So technically, when we talk about any specific taxation system, any specific working that we introduce, it may or may not be very easy on the organizations. The implementation was related to the area of GST, goods and service tax. Done. What is the key characteristics, everyone? of IDT. They are imposed on income and profits? No. When we talk about the area of they cannot be shifted to another person or entity, technically it is levied on someone else and paid by someone else. So that really doesn't work that way. They are paid directly to the government? No. They can be shifted to another person or entity. The answer is they can be. It is levied on someone else and definitely paid by someone else. है ना? Done? Next point. How are indirect taxes oriented in terms of their impact on savings and investments? Indirect taxes play a very important role. Indirect taxes reduce the savings and discourage investments. Indirect taxes enhance savings and encourage investments. Really, when we talk about direct tax, direct tax are basically areas where they specify कि you put your money into so and so things, and this will be turned into your tax savings. Fortunately or unfortunately, GST says no other thing. GST says that if you are involved in supply of goods and services, then you are supposed to pay GST on it. That's the particular simple thing they say. Indirect taxes have no impact on saving investments, and indirect taxes are not mentioned in relation to saving investment. Overall, these are indirect taxes. They talk about the consumption and their explanations to it. So technically, it reduces the savings. It's a regressive tax. A person who's rich, who is also giving the GST the same price. A person who's poor, he's also facing this burden of GST at the same time. है ना? So technically, things are the same. Who is required to file GST returns? Only persons with an aggregate turnover of more than 1.50 crores. Only person opting for composition schemes. Composition levy scheme is a scheme where they do not have to file the returns every month. They can go for the quarter. Every person registered under GST or only non-resident taxable person. GST returns are to be filed by every single person who is registered under GST. Okay? And you can reduce the number of returns based upon the kind of seller you are. Otherwise, returns are to be filed by everyone. The annual returns, the monthly and the quarterly, different returns are to be filed by the organizations to make sure there is no fraud being involved in it. Done? Next question. Which return form is required for a registered person with an aggregate turnover of more than 1.50 crore on a monthly basis? GSTR1, GST3B, and then we have GST4 or GSTR2. The answer here would be GSTR3B. Done? Now let's move on to the next question. Obviously, there are people who makes problems or makes payment in a delayed form, 10%, 12%, 15 or 18. What is the amount of interest that we charge from them? Because if they are late in terms of the payment, then the organizations have to be taught to listen. And then, in this case, the interest is levied as well. है ना? So what would be the answer, everyone? I believe in terms of this scenario, the answer is going to be 18%. In terms of the organization, it would charge the maximum from the people who are making mistakes. Right? Done? The answer is D, 18% per annum. The answer to the next question would be what? Why is registration process more challenging for banks under GST? Registration process is very challenging because for every state you have to get a separate registration. You're not gonna do it by PAN. It is based upon PAN plus the place of birth. That means if I want to buy something, then if I really want to do my business in a particular situation which is outside my uh, domicile limit, then what will I do? Basically with every state you have to really work upon it na. So when you have to work upon all the scenario, then the state in which the particular organization is working, है ना, that particular state becomes the state in which they have to file the return as well. So bankers are exempt from registration, they are not. Next is banks need to obtain separate registration for each time, each state. Then everyone, that is bankers need only a separate registration. Banks only in the centralized, they do not require centralized registration. For every single state, if your address is changing, then this is also changing. Done. So in this case, the correct answer A is going to be the thanks between banks need to obtain between certain registration for the each time. What would be the answer? The answer to this question is they need separate registration. Na? Done. So now let's move on towards the next question. How under GST, how much of the SENVAT credit? SENVAT is basically when you have paid a certain amount of GST, then the same is available in your outputs, in your input services as well as capital goods is required to be reserved. Is it? What would be the answer, everyone? GST ensures that indirect taxes and structures are uniform across the across the country, everyone. Done. Okay, now let's look at the answer, everyone. The answer to this question is in terms of SENVAT credit. It is basically similar to the ITC. You have paid the GST already on some other items, and when you are paying it, you are producing something and selling it. It can be set off. Done. 10, 25, 50, or 75? What would be the answer, everyone? 10, 25, 50, and 75. What would be the answer? 10, 25, 50, or 75? When we talk about the SENVAT credit, it is 50%. You get 50% of it. Okay? SENVAT is basically the credit which is available under central area, and this is related to the VAT. It was earlier related to the VAT, but on the VAT model only they created the GST, which is a challenge in terms of assessment and process under GST. Adjudication by a single authority, consistency in performance of different authorities, quick resolution of information or issues, and then impact of impact input tax rate utilization. Basically this is also helpful because when the audits are going on na, when the equity audits are going on, then at that point of time all the books of the equity shareholders are opened in any case. That is why the people in terms of the peanuts and in terms of the working overall, this can be adjusted, है ना? adjustment by a single authority. What is the challenge with GST assessment? In terms of the assessment, what happens is there's an adjudication or consistency in the opinions, and quick resolution of issues is basically in the last one is the input tax credit utilization. That means whatever you tax you have already paid, you can get it used. Then the answer to this question is consistency. Always remember, it should be a consistent thing among different authorities. It should not be having a mismatch, otherwise we will not be able to compare any of our products with someone else. Okay, na? That is something which we definitely require. Okay everyone, before we proceed further, have you reviewed our courses yet? If you haven't, then please go ahead and check out our website www.adda247.com. Done. Chaliye, so let me show you where to go. Go on to the specific area of www.adda247.com. Once you go to this specific area everyone, then go down and you will find the JAIIB and CIB area in terms of this particular area. The video of yesterday is also available there. Okay, acha, just a moment. Okay. Just a moment. This is the JIB area in which you just have to check out the JIB and CIB. Go on to the area of JIB, CIB, Mahapack. This includes both JIB and CIB. Double validity has just started. This is the perfect time. Use the code Y541 and get the JIB Mahapack for 12 months at the lowest price, everyone. This particular opportunity is definitely a hands-on opportunity when it comes to your examination. Then when we talk about this area, just click on the area of buy now. Use the code Y541. Use the code Y541 and you will be able to get it at 79, 80% discount for 11,023. Matlab for JIB and CIB both added, you have got 24 months, more than enough time to prepare for both the examinations. So if you're looking forward to it, then kindly check it out on our website and our app for further details.